Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Sukirti Madhavi.
Amrind Gaurdas.
Welcoming you for Gita Mastery Course, Chapter 17. So last but one chapter, we are very soon reaching towards completing successfully the advanced course of Bhagavad Gita. Hope you have checked on the website. We have uploaded the quiz for chapter 16. So you have to complete the quiz for chapter 16. And here we will get into chapter 17 after chanting Mangalacharan.
Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam
Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapad Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu vaevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prestaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanamine. Namaste Saraswate Deve, Gauravani Pracharine, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripatamam vande Shri Guru Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. So here we see chapter number 17.
Okay, the quiz is...
Yeah, the quiz is on the website. So we straight away go to chapter number 17. It's a small chapter, relatively small chapter, but divided into 6 different sections. So here basically the description is in detail about the modes of nature and how it influences different aspects of our lifestyle. So actually, if we remember chapter 16, it was talking about the divine and the demoniac, and the only difference, very, very strong difference between the divine and demoniac from which everything would sprout, was that one follows scripture and other did not. So one has faith in the scriptures and the other had no faith in the scriptures, and that is what makes them divine or demoniac. Now in this chapter, after hearing so much about scriptures and faith in scripture, Arjun gets a question that what if a person has faith but not in the scriptures and something else, and he worships according to that? So then Krishna starts describing in detail about how then people are governed by their modes. So let us get into the first section, faith and worship. Arjun Vacha Ye Shastra Vidhimutsrijya Yajante Shraddhayanvitaha Tesham Nishtha Tuka Krishna Sattvam Ahorajastamaha.
Arjun inquired, O Krishna, what is the situation of those who do not follow the principles of scriptures but worship according to their own imagination? Are they in goodness, in passion, or ignorance. So we need to understand here that this is what Sugita is explaining, that there are two extremes, what was discussed in the previous chapter. One, they accept the scriptures, they worship the Supreme Lord, and they are divine. The other ones, they completely reject the scriptures, they don't care, and they just want to enjoy. They whatever they feel they would like to do, whatever they feel to believe in, they do that, and that's the demoniac. They completely disregard the scriptures. So these two extreme cases were discussed in the previous chapter, the divine and the demoniac. And here Arjuna has a natural question. Well, there are so many people who are in between. They're neither completely divine nor completely demoniac. What about them? So Arjuna asked that question, that if they do not follow the principles of scriptures, but they follow, they have faith in something else, not in Supreme Lord, Bhagavad-gita, Bhagavatam, Vedas. They do not have faith, but they have faith in some other, uh, imagined God or something, and they worship that personality with lot of awe and veneration and with lot of faith. What about them? Are they in the modes? So this is what Arjuna asks.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
Trividha bhavati shraddha dehinam sa swabhavaja satviki rajasi chaiva tamasi cheti tam shrinu.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, according to the modes of nature acquired by the embodied soul, one's faith can be of three kinds: in goodness, in passion, or in ignorance. Now hear about this, Tam Shrinu. So he's telling Arjun to hear from this. And he's saying that now everything Krishna is bringing on the modes. So either we are governed, our life is governed by the transcendental principles which are given in the scriptures. So either we become puppet in the hands of Krishna and we just follow his instructions and do everything in our life according to that. If not, then who handles our control? That is the modes of material nature. So we have seen that famous ISKCON picture where there are three ladies like puppeteer and we are all actually under their grip. So they are controlling us. So that is goodness, passion, and ignorance. So Krishna is telling that if the person is not governed by scripture, then basically it is his faith, and hence his entire life is governed by goodness, passion, or ignorance. So what activities they do, they acquire a nature of that specific quality, and hence it's the mode which makes them do whatever they do. This nature, though acquired by modes, so though these people are under control of the modes, but this nature can be changed if one associates with a bona fide spiritual master and abides by his instructions and the scriptures. Gradually, one can change his position from lower modes to goodness. So now this is what would have happened in majority of our cases also. Because we also, like personally speaking, I was not so much aware of the scriptures and what are to be done, what is to be done, what is proper, what is improper. No, it was all hearsay, all mixed up. But then when we came to ISKCON and when we started reading Srila Prabhupada books, and then he started telling that how do we worship, how do we eat, how do we sleep, how do we talk, what do we talk, how do we chant. So everything is explained, and then gradually the mode changes.
A very good example of this is Prahlad Maharaj. The qualities actually they're manifested right in the womb itself, because the person has acted in a particular way in the previous life, and therefore he is influenced by certain modes. So even when he takes the next birth, he is already influenced by certain modes. And we see the case of Prahlad Maharaj, that right in the womb, Hiranyaka, his father, had gone to perform austerities. His mother was rescued by Narad Muni. Narad Muni brought Prahlad Maharaj's mother to his ashram, and that is where he started explaining to them the science of God. And Prahlad, who was in the womb, he heard very attentively. And he became a great devotee. He was already a great devotee, and he, by the grace of Narad Muni, he became a great devotee. And he heard, and he heard. And when he came out, he was like a fully realized soul. Even 5 years of age, despite all that his father wanted to do to him, he could always constantly be absorbed in the Supreme Lord. So that is there is a possibility of changing our position, but then we have to accept a bona fide spiritual master and abide by his instructions. Then we can actually change our modes and thus our destiny.
Sattvanurupa sarvasya Shraddha bhavati bharata Shraddha mayoyam purusho Yo yat shraddha sa eva saha. O son of Bharat, according to one's existence under the various modes of nature, one evolves a particular kind of faith. The living being is said to be of a particular faith according to the modes he has acquired. So here again Krishna is explaining what he has mentioned in verse number 2. He is expanding on the same and he is telling that how the modes actually influence us, and it is also mentioned that the mode is acquired. So the last line if we see, according to the modes he has acquired. So actually originally we are transcendental living entities, part and parcel of Krishna. We are completely pure. We are beyond the modes. But the moment we come in touch with the material world, we get covered by these modes. We get influenced by these modes. And these modes we choose. So we choose our mode and that is how we acquire the mode. And then my faith, that in whom I have faith. Do I have faith in Krishna, or do I have faith in Indra, or do I have faith in any human being, or do I have faith in ghosts and spirit? So all that comes from the mode that I have acquired. So one's faith will be categorized by one of the three modes. Yajante satvika devan yaksha rakshamsi rajasaha pretan bhuta ganamshanye yajante tamasa janaha.
Men in the modes of goodness worship the demigods. Those in the mode of passion worship the demons. And those in the mode of ignorance worship ghosts and spirits. So what is happening is the inside, the heart of the person is influenced by a certain mode. And based on what mode it is influenced by, he builds a particular faith. And faith means that he has a certain belief in a certain object, in a certain person. He develops a veneration. He develops adoration for a particular type of personality. So those who are in mode of goodness, they develop adoration for devatas. And they worship devatas. The people who are in mode of passion, to them, the demons are very attractive. Krishna is mentioning here, Yaksha and Rakshasas. They become very attracted to Yakshas and Rakshasa. And then they start worshipping them. And those who are in mode of ignorance, their heart is influenced by the mode of influence. Therefore, they have this faith. They become attracted. They adore ghosts and bhutas and pretas. So these are worshipped by the men. Men means it's a gender neutral word. People who worship them are in mode of ignorance. So the mode is internal. When you look at a person, just the looks also anyway can tell a person in mode of goodness is very clean. So in any ways, so the person is influenced by the mode. His faith is influenced by the mode. But from his activities, we can find, this activity, he's worshipping the ghost, person in mode of ignorance. He's worshipping devatas, he's person in mode of goodness. So from his activities, we can understand his mode, we can understand his faith, and from faith, we can understand from which mode is he coming from. So faith and worship, goodness, he worships devatas for a particular purpose. So these people still accept scriptures, because without scriptures one does not know devatas. Like if you look at the other major religions of the world, they make fun of Hinduism. Why they say you have so many gods, you have a supermarket. Yeah, we have supermarket because we have more knowledge. We are more aware. So like somebody in a deep down village may be aware that there is some government. They may not be even aware of the government of India. Or some may be aware, they may say, some government is there. So they have just very, very vague idea. But then when one becomes a little educated and one knows, then he knows, okay, there's a prime minister, there's a cabinet ministers, there are such a huge government machinery, there are so many different departments, then one gains more knowledge. So that is what the Vedas are. Vedas give so much of knowledge, not just of earth, but of the entire universe. So these people have some knowledge of scriptures, and therefore they begin to worship devatas, those who are in mode of goodness. Others worship demons. And here Prabhupada gives an example of a man during Second World War. This man, overnight, he became millionaire. So much money he earned overnight because Second World War was going on. Everything was in scarcity and he was doing black marketing. And because of the scarcity, he would sell products at very high rates, earn so much money, and therefore he started worshipping Hitler. Hey, Jaya Hitler, whatever. So, because of him, the war is going on. Because of him, I'm getting so rich. So that is the nature of passionate people. They worship demons, and ignorance, they worship ghosts and spirits. So there are different kinds of tantric. There is tantric in mode of goodness also, in passion also, in ignorance also. And the tantrics in mode of ignorance, very, very dangerous people. And they do all kinds of, things like they offer blood and wine and
evil things.
And the whole intent many times why they come into picture, because they want to harm someone or kill someone or possess someone, things like that. So those intention itself is in ignorance, and they use the methods of ignorance, and they worship personalities of ignorance as well.
Remember, those who are not conversant with the scriptures or do not have complete faith in them worship anyone other than the Supreme Lord Krishna. So one who actually follows the scripture, he would know the essence. The essence is to worship the Supreme Lord Krishna. But if I am not well conversant, or if I feel that, it is too difficult and I am too lazy to follow and I want quick relief, so then I would go to somebody else and not otherwise.
Ashastra vihitam ghoram tapyante ye tapo janaha damba ahankara samyukta kamaraga balanvitaha karshayanta sharirastham bhutagramam achetasaha mam chaivandah sharirastham tan viddhi asura nishchayan.
So here if we see the words which are used like ghoram. So ghoram in the first line, that means harmful to living entities. Then it talks about dambha and ahankar, damba ahankar. So that means ostination and pride. Then it is talking about kam. Kam means desire to enjoy or desire to be eternally youthful and eternal life and kingdom. Raga. Raga means attachment. Attachment to, here it is referring to austerities. So attachment. Bala means ability to perform, very balavan. So actually this is a description of a demon. And what do they do? So these are the people who have no faith in scriptures, who completely defies
They are
scripture.
against Vedas.
They are envious of scriptures and the Supreme Lord. They are against the Vedas. So let's see what does it translate to. Those who undergo severe austerities and penances not recommended in the scriptures, performing them out of pride and egoism, who are impelled by lust and attachment, who are foolish and who torture the material elements of the body as well as the super soul dwelling within, are to be known as demons. So they are doing activities which is like self-torture. They torture themselves, and not in a manner which is prescribed in the scripture. Like we also talk of performing austerities like observing certain vratas on Janmashtami, Radhashtami or Ekadashis. So there are certain austerities, penances which are recommended in the scriptures. But these people, they are performing them out of pride and egoism, and everything is governed by lust. So they want so much more, and for that they are performing austerities. So these are the people. Here we see a classic picture of Hiranyakashipu, who's standing with his arms raised, and he's standing on the tip of his toes not completely standing, but he's like completely stretching himself out. There is a yoga posture also. I'm forgetting the name, in which you are supposed to stretch your body like this. So he's stretching upwards. But then for what? Why was Hiranyakashipu performing this penance? Because he wanted to become immortal. Because he wanted to prove that he is more powerful than God, or that there is no God. So such people, they undergo severe austerity and penances not recommended in scriptures, perform them out of pride and egoism, impelled by lust and attachment, and foolishly torture the body as well as the super soul within.
The ultimate end of a demoniac person is to be perpetually cast into this cycle of birth and death. The only rescue is to surrender to a bona fide spiritual master. So these people, they will ultimately, eternally be in this material world unless they come in touch with devotees and somehow or the other they begin the process of devotional service. Aharastvapi sarvasya trividho bhavati priyaha yagyastapastatha danam tesham vedam imam shrinu. Even the food each person prefers is of three kinds, according to the three modes of material nature. The same is true of sacrifices, austerities, and charity. Now hear of the distinction between them. So now actually Krishna begins to answer that question by Arjuna, that what about those who do not follow scriptures? What about them? So Krishna explains that actually whatever activities they do, including their preferences for food, what type of food they like, what type of austerities they perform, sacrifices they do, or charity that they give, everything is governed by the modes. According to the modes, they will be different. So I'm sure you would have experienced your own self that you have certain preferences for food and charity and austerities or whatever. So you'll have your own preference. You'll see also that people whom you love, whom you know in your family, friends, relatives, you'll see that there is a difference in their preferences, and also everything actually is governed by what mode am I influenced with.
All our lifestyle choices are actually the indication of our modes. Good part is that we get to choose our modes and hence elevate ourselves. So all the choices, the life is full of choices. At every point there is a choice. What clothes do I wear? What food do I eat? Whom do I give charity to? There are so many people who come and ask me, and I have some money, and whom do I give and whom do I not give? So like that, I have so many choices throughout in my life. So all these choices, what I'm actually making is indication of our modes, that which mode we are into.
Interestingly, before coming to Krishna consciousness, we never knew about this. See, this awareness, of proper choices is so difficult without the knowledge of scriptures.
So this is yet another very, very practical application wala session, where we have, like you can see the section headings. So in the first section, which is again 3 verses only, Krishna talks about foods in modes. Then he talks about sacrifice in mode, austerity in mode, and charity in mode. So this way we can identify where do I stand and whether I want to upgrade myself or not. So can we go back? So before we go further, we are opening the chat, and please type any one item, honestly, which is your favorite food. Before we get into the food section, what is your favorite food? Okay, idli, sambar, sweets, dal, paneer, dosa, Krishna prasadam, sweets, paneer, curd rice, fruits, Bengali sweets. Wow, so many people are so fond of sweets. And I see 2 or 3 of them writing curd rice. The favorite food, really? Is it curd rice? Favorite food?
Yeah. It may not be yours, so that's why you're surprised. Avial and idli sambar rice, soft homemade food, fruits, curd rice, pongal vada. Paneer. Paneer, I think wins.
Bhel
Sweets,
puri,
curd
pani
rice.
puri, poha, dosa, masala dosa, biryani. Okay, good. So we have all category of food here. I mean,
think
different varieties.
Idli, chutney, sambar vada also will win.
Now, I can see curd rice winning. So many people have mentioned
Your
curd
eyes
rice.
yeah.
Okay, so now since you have mentioned your food, now we will see the classification of food, and then you can decide which one do you fit in, goodness, passion, or ignorance, depending on your favorite food. Ayuh sattva balarogya sukha priti vivardhanaha rasya snigdha stira hridaya ahara satvika priyaha. So here is a description of ahara. Ahar means food. Ahara satvika priya. So those who are sattvic people. So let's see. Foods dear to those in the mode of goodness. 1. Increase the duration of life. 2. Purify one's existence. Eating the food itself is purifying. Can you imagine the food we are eating, and that also has so much impact? So just by eating, a person becomes purified. 3. Give strength, health, happiness, and satisfaction. Such foods are juicy, fatty, wholesome, and pleasing to the heart.
So I was going through the commentary by Srila Vishnu Chakti Thakur. So in his purport, he has written, he has analyzed that what is, it increases the Ayu, it increases the Sattvagun, and it increases the bal or the strength. It gives freedom from disease, and then he identifies that which items actually are considered sattvic or dear to people who are in sattva are. He mentions rice, wheat, other grains, milk, and sugar. So this is what he mentions in the purport. And then he says that these foods are juicy and fatty, which means that when the preparation is made from these items, it is not very dry. These items are made and then it is like it has some rasa in it. It is not very dry. Curd rice. And fatty, yes. The fat which we are allowed, animal fat which we are allowed, is cow's milk and the butter and the ghee that comes out of it.
So paneer also qualifies.
Yeah. And wholesome and pleasing to the heart. So such foods are dear to ahara satvika priya. So those who are in mode of goodness, these are the foods that they like.
Katva malala vaina tishna tikshana ruksha vidahinaha ahara rajasasyeshta dukkha shoka maya pradaha.
Foods that are too bitter, too sour, salty, hot, pungent, dry, and burning are dear to those in the mode of passion. Such foods cause distress, misery, and disease. So we understand this is not very difficult to understand. Too bitter, like neem. Neem is considered to be too bitter. So once in a while, some may take because of purifying the body or some disease is there or something.
Very little quantity.
Some little quantity it may be taken, but otherwise it is considered rajasic. So too bitter, too sour. So we may have
Pani puri.
very, very sour things like tamarind actually. Tamarind, little bit quantity is used is okay, but sometimes, tendency is there to add a lot of tamarind, becomes very, very nicely, not nicely, rajasically sour, or for example, citric acid is considered, what is it called in Hindi? Sirka. Vinegar. So vinegar is also not considered worthy of intake. Something which is very salty, we'll notice, so things.
It is very salty, or even people who prefer to take extra salt.
Yeah.
So that way also.
Whatever salt you add, they feel salt is less. Where is the salt? Give me, and they will always add salt. So hot and pungent red chilies, and a lot of red chilies in it. So it is, till the time the smoke comes not just from the mouth but from the nose and the ears also, the satisfaction is not there. So hot, dry, pungent foods that are cooked and they're very dry. in the previous one we saw juicy, and here the food is very dry. So all such foods are in mode of passion. They cause distress, they cause misery and disease. So interestingly, our Ayurvedic doctor was sharing that whenever we do fast, she said when you break fast, you should start with soft food, because the whole stomach and intestines are empty, and we should give them soft, non-spicy food to the stomach, so that it becomes they can restart the process of digestion, something which they can handle it very nicely. Yat yamam gata rasam puti paryushitam chayat uchchishtam api chamedyam bhojanam tamasa priyaham.
Food prepared more than 3 hours before being eaten, food that is tasteless, decomposed, and putrid, and food consisting of remnants and untouchable things is dear to those in the mode of darkness. So now for mode of darkness or ignorance, the first point is anything which is more than 3 hours old. So all the packaged food probably would fit in there, because everything is packed and they have some shelf life, 10 days, 15 days, 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, like that. So all that comes in mode of ignorance. Then second is it is tasteless. So the food as such does not have taste.
One second. So even the food which is served in hotels and restaurants, 5-star hotels, so they have this habit or tendency of making gravies, and they will do the pre-prep and they will freeze it. So they'll make it and they'll freeze it 15 days, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, and when there is an order, they'll take it out, defreeze and cook and serve.
Food that is tasteless, decomposed, and putrid. So it's like the food itself is decomposed. It's stale food. It stinks. You don't really feel like eating that type of food. And food consisting of remnants, so uchishta or jutha, remnants. So that is also in ignorance, and untouchable things. So now if we study scriptures, we find that actually dead bodies are untouchable. So if somebody is eating those dead bodies, so that comes in untouchable food. So these are in mode of ignorance.
Even fruits, for example, that have begun to rot and they smell bad, that is also considered to be in mode of ignorance. And here, food consisting of remnants. So this, we will see that in our nowadays, people don't mind eating
from each
other's plate, each other's tiffin box. One bite, there'll be one sandwich and it'll go around 1 bite, 2 bite, 3 bite, 4 bite, and whatever balance is in my mouth. So that is also in mode of ignorance. And so maybe some other day we will discuss this more.
So this is goodness, passion, and ignorance summary. Goodness, as we discussed, wholesome, juicy, and pleasing. And what is the result of eating such food? Long life, purifying, strength, disease-free, and happiness.
Passion, bitter or sour, hot or pungent, burning, they create distress, misery, and disease.
And the food in mode of ignorance is tasteless, decomposed, untouchable things. And when we eat such food, like how we were discussing uchishta, if we are eating the remnants, then of course there is tendency of having infection and spreading diseases. It is contaminating and early death. So this is opposite to goodness. So goodness gives us long life, and food in ignorance gives us early death. And we must always remember that we are what we eat.
So beyond the food in different modes, when we look at prasadam, so of course we offer Krishna whatever is in sattva. We don't offer really food in passion or ignorance. Whatever is prescribed by the scriptures, we offer it to Krishna, and that food no longer remains in sattva. It becomes shuddha sattva. It becomes pure goodness. So when we eat prasadam, our senses become purified, our mind and heart becomes purified of material desires. So we become spiritualized by eating prasadam. So if we eat spiritual food, we become spiritualized. If we eat food in rajas, then we become rajasic.
And for food which is offered to Krishna, so that condition does not apply, the 3 hours old, because prasad does not become contaminated. Next section, sacrifices in the modes.
Afalankakshbhiryo vidhidrishto ya ijyate yashtavyam evati manaha samadhaya sasatvikaha. Of sacrifices, the sacrifice performed according to the directions of the scriptures as a matter of duty by those who desire no reward is in the nature of goodness. So of course, even if the last line was not there, we could have understood that these are qualities of goodness, that it is done according to the scriptural injunctions. It is not done for some satisfying of some of my lust. No, it is not done for that. It is just done as a matter of duty. So it is naturally in mode of goodness. Abhisandhyayatu phalam dambartam api chaivaya ijyate bharata shrestha tam yagyam vidhi rajasam.
But the sacrifice performed for some material benefit or for the sake of pride, O chief of the Bharatas, you should know to be in the mode of passion. So this is the sacrifice in the mode of passion. I am so passionate. Basically, the focus of my life is me. So what do I get for me? What is the material benefit which I'll be getting by doing the sacrifice, or how my pride would boost if I do such a sacrifice? So the focus is on me alone. Such sacrifice is in mode of passion.
Vidhihinam asrishtanam mantrahinam adakshinam shraddha virahitam yagyam tamasam parichakshate. Any sacrifice performed without regard for the direction of the scriptures, without distribution of prasadam, without chanting the Vedic hymns and remuneration to the priest, and without faith. So what could this be in? What mode such a thing would be in? I mean, even if we don't read the last line, we know it is in mode of ignorance. So here is a summary slide which shows that the sacrifice is done in mode of goodness. They are conducted as per the scriptures and as a matter of duty, not for any reward.
Passion is for some material benefit and for the sake of pride. So people organize certain pujas, huge puja ceremony, but then the focus is not so much on the puja vidhi, but more on the dress code for that thing and what is in the menu.
Show.
Yeah, it is more of a show business. So then that type of a sacrifice is actually for the sake of pride and not out of genuine devotion. And then the third one is sacrifice in mode of ignorance. So everything is not there, like nothing is there. Scriptural direction, no. Prasadam, no. Chanting, no. Faith, no. Priest is also dissatisfied because he is also not reimbursed properly. So such type of a sacrifice is in mode of ignorance. And then next Krishna talks about the austerity in modes.
Deva Dvija Guru Pragya Pujanam Shauchamajavam Brahmacharyam Ahimsa Cha Shariram Tapa Uchyate.
Austerity of the body consists in worship of the Supreme Lord, the Brahmanas, the spiritual master, and the superior like the father and mother, and in cleanliness, simplicity, celibacy, and non-violence. So now in this section on austerity, in the first three verses, that is 14, 15, and 16, Krishna would describe what does it mean to be austere with body, austere with speech, and austere with mind. And then he will tell that total, so body, mind, speech, cumulative, if a person is performing in goodness, in passion, and in ignorance, how does it come? So here he's talking about the body. So basically he's talking about 5 things. One is worshipping, second cleanliness, third simplicity, fourth celibacy, and fifth non-violence. So these are the 5 things which a person does when he performs the austerity of the body. So it may sound austere every day, getting up in the morning, taking bath, cleanliness, so taking bath, then worshipping the Supreme Lord, and at certain occasions worshipping the Brahmanas, then accepting a spiritual master, following his instruction. That could be austere but still following, and following the instructions of our superiors like our parents. So all this comes in the austerity of body.
At least offer them respect, due respect, and behave with them with proper etiquettes. And then being simple, so one understands that the purpose of my life is not to extend my duration of existence in this material world, except whatever is necessary for my keeping my body and soul together. So that is simplicity. Accept only that much which is required for the maintenance of this body. So then the person is simple. Celibate means that he does not really engage in unnecessary sexual activity and non-violence. He does not engage his body in committing violence against other living entities. Anudvega karam vakyam satyam priyahitam chayat swadhyayabhyasanam chaiva vanmayam tapa uchyate.
So now here it is a mention, he is mentioning about the austerity of speech. So he is saying various things like, one, speaking words that are truthful. Truthful, pleasing, beneficial, not agitating to others, and regularly reciting Vedic literature. So 5 things to be austere when I am speaking. So speaking truthful words and yet taking in account that it is pleasing to others. So it has to be true, but simultaneously pleasing and beneficial also. So it's not that you are speaking certain words to put the other person down or to show off yourself. No, so speaking truthful word which is pleasing, beneficial, which does not agitate the other person. So not unnecessary gossip or fault finding or criticism. All that comes against the austerity of speech. And all that would, how my speech would become like that when I regularly recite Vedic literature, because from there I get the instructions of what I have to speak and how I have to speak.
And this is austerity because we don't want to do this. Whenever convenient, leave the truth. Because speaking truth will put me in trouble. So don't speak truth. Right?
Otherwise, being so blunt that those words hurt the other person.
Yeah, so either ways. So that's why it is austere. It is difficult. We have to, put in an effort to do this. Always speaking truth is a matter of great effort. It's great austerity. Not to tell lies. Because telling lie may be whatever is convenient. Here the truth is not convenient. Tell lie, no problem. Who will know? Similarly, to speak pleasingly. Right? So nowadays we see that we are so far away from this. So people are not austere of speech, but Krishna is suggesting. He is saying that one should be austere in speech, and if we follow this, then we become very austere in speech. And actually, all of you can take it up as a challenge. You put this up, and then you reflect on this daily. And especially when you're meeting people and you're talking to them, you reflect on these points. At least the 3. Truthful. Is it pleasing? Is it beneficial to the other person? If you just reflect on these and then you speak, you will see there's a dramatic change in the relationships that you have with people around you. So apply these filters while talking. Is it true? Is it pleasing? Is it beneficial? With that, if this I speak, that person will be agitated. So should I speak? Is it necessary? Can I avoid it? Right. So, and also these austerities can be performed by people who are in goodness. People in lower mode cannot take up this austerity. They cannot perform such austere speech.
Manah
prasada somyatvam maunam atma vinigraha bhava samshuddhir iti etat tapo manasamuchyate.
And satisfaction, simplicity, gravity, self-control and purification of one's existence are the austerities of the mind. So now these are some of the aspects. So gravity in thought. So it is specifically mentioned gravity in thought. So while thinking itself, I am grave. grave in the sense that I'm not very frivolous, I'm not hurtful, I am, even my thoughts are like of the things which really is important and it matters. And even in thought, I'm not thinking of criticizing others or putting the other person down. So that is gravity in thought. Then second is satisfaction. So my mind is satisfied. So whatever Krishna provides me, like we have heard from various devotees, they say whatever Krishna gives, that is enough. So no further desire, not that I continuously keep desiring more and more, but whatever
Or
comes on its
dissatisfied
own
with,
accord.
or dissatisfied with what one has.
Yeah, or dissatisfied with what not to be dissatisfied with what one has. So whatever comes on its own accord. Then third is simplicity. So simplicity means no duplicity, Prabhupada writes. So no duplicity, no manipulation. Very, very simple. And then self-control. So I have to control my various senses, because senses are the ones which take me out of my league and make me do things which my intelligence know I should not be doing.
So fire, if we must, and when it comes to self-control, we must understand already the senses desire so many things, the mind desires so many things, and if I give them what they need, then it is like adding fuel to fire, ghee to fire, and the fire will only increase and it will become more and more difficult for us to self-control.
And then the fifth point is purify one's existence. So if we have actually all the other four, then my existence itself would be purified, because I would be pure in my mind itself.
Shraddhaya paraya taptam tapastatrividam narahi afalakangshabhir yuktai satvikam parichakshate. This threefold austerity, performed with transcendental faith by men, not expecting material benefits, but engaged only for the sake of the Supreme, is called austerity in goodness. So if these austerities of the body, of the speech, of the mind, they are performed with transcendental faith and not desiring that by doing this, what will I get? I'll get this, I'll get that. So without expecting those material benefits, if somebody is engaged only for the pleasure of the Lord, then it is in mode of goodness. Satkarmana pujartam tapodambena chaivayat kriyate tad iha proktam rajasam chalamadhruvam.
Penance performed out of pride and for the sake of gaining respect, honor, and worship is said to be in the mode of passion. It is neither stable nor permanent. So now here we are talking about austerity. Like for example, austerity of speech. We heard that, okay, so austerity of speech is to be truthful and yet pleasing. So I start appreciating the other person. I start appreciating various aspects of his personality. But I am not appreciating because it is true. I am not appreciating because it is genuine. I am appreciating because if I appreciate, then the other person will appreciate me back.
Or others will appreciate me for that.
Yeah, or others will appreciate me. Oh, this person is so humble. So if I am doing like that, then this is for the sake of gaining respect. So if I am performing such austerity, like I am performing austerity of body, I am maintaining my body very clean. But then so that everybody else appreciates me for that. So all that is in mode of passion. So goodness is as a duty for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. Passion is for me again. So I'm in the center.
And such penance, it is neither stable and nor it is permanent. So whatever results one will attain from this are temporary. Mudha grahena tat manoyat pīdaya kriyate tapaha parasyotsādanārtham va tattamasam udahritam. Penance performed out of foolishness, with self-torture, or to destroy or injure others, is said to be in the mode of ignorance. This is quite straightforward. So this penance or such activities of penance or tapas is done within basically the person is unintelligent or is foolish. He does not understand the outcome of his activities, So he cannot understand what is right, what is wrong. So he's basically foolish. So he performs penances and with self-torture. So he will torture himself, he'll torture his body, he will torture the soul and the super soul, because all this body is a facility given to us by the Lord, especially the human form of the Lord. And it is meant, it's a human form is like a vehicle in, there is a possibility of crossing over the cycle of birth and death, the ocean of samsara. This body is one very, very precious body, because it has higher intelligence and we can actually solve the problems of our life in this. But this foolish person cannot understand. He will torture this body, he will do self-harm, or he will try to destroy others or injure others. And such a person and such a penance is considered to be in mode of ignorance.
So goodness done with transcendental faith, not expecting material benefit and only for the sake of supreme.
Passion is done out of ignorance for the sake of respect, honor and worship. It is neither stable nor permanent.
And ignorance out of foolishness with self-torture or to destroy or injure others. So here a classic example would be the teenagers blackmailing the parents into something. So they would stop eating. Yeah, I'll not eat. You are not sending me for the party. I want to go to the party and you are not sending, or I want to go this night show for the movie and you are not sending me. So I'll not eat. Or sometimes they threaten even more that I'll run away from the house. I'll not stay with you. I'll leave you and go. I'll commit suicide. So all that may be austere. Yes, it is austere not to eat. For a 15-year-old who's very hungry and not to eat is austere. But why is that austerity? For self-torture and putting others in anxiety. So his acts are causing anxiety for others. So that is what it comes in mode of ignorance. So being austere is not enough. Is it pleasing to the Supreme Lord? We must ask ourselves, if we are performing any austerity, is it pleasing to the Supreme Lord? And the next section talking about the charity in the modes.
Datavyam
iti yaddanam diyate nukari. Sorry.
Datvayam iti yaddanam diyate nupakarine deshe kale cha patre cha taddanam satvikam smritam. Charity given out of duty. Again, you see that how in the mode of goodness everything is done with a sense of duty. Charity given out of duty, without expectation of return. So these sattvic people, they do not think, I have given so much charity, so what this person will do, this institution, what they will do for me, or if I have done this pious activity, what result will I get in this life or next. So they don't do charity out of like this, they do it out of duty. I am a grahastha, I must perform charity. I must purify my income, I must purify my house, my existence, and I must give charity for purification. So charity is done out of duty, and it is done at a proper time, desha kal patra. It is done at a proper time, proper place, and to a worthy person. Patra kaun hai uska? So to a proper person, worthy person is considered to be the mode of goodness. Yattu pratyupakarartham phalam uddishya va punaha diyate cha pariklishtam taddanam rajasam smritam.
But charity performed with the expectation of some return or with a desire for fruitive results or in a grudging mood is said to be charity in the mode of passion. So now there are certain predominant characteristics of people who are in mode of goodness or in passion or in ignorance. And whatever act they do, it arises from that quality of theirs. So people in mode of passion, they are always expecting something in result. They always want something for themselves. So even while doing some worship, while doing some sacrifice, while doing some austerity, and now here while doing some charity. So always they want something in return. So if they want to give some donation, they want to be very clear that what is in for them, what material thing, what fruitive result. So it is not enough for them that Krishna will be pleased. It's not enough for them that Supreme Lord will bless you and your family. No.
That blessing, no.
Yeah.
What more? What next? That is okay.
What that thing which they can materially assess. So what, like, if you will put my name board, or how would that be displayed? Or if I come to your temple, will there be some special privileges which would be offered to me? So these things are for a person who does charity in the mode of passion. Next.
Or it is done in a grudging mood. The person does not want to go, but he becomes so frustrated that he gives, okay, you take it and you leave me, get out of my sight. Sometimes it happens,
or he is forced to give.
Or he is forced to give for some certain reason. So.
Next.
Adesha kale yaddanam apatrebhyascha diyate asatkritam avagyatam tattamasam udahritam. And charity performed at an impure place, at an improper time, to unworthy persons, or without proper attention and respect, is said to be in the mode of ignorance. So usually it is understood that the person who's giving charity is superior, one who's receiving charity is inferior. So if one gives charity thinking, hey, I have so much wealth, say, come here, I'm giving you. So he does not really show, he gives charity, but he does not give it with proper attention or with proper respect. Like sometimes people organize these, these annadanam, but it is not done with proper attention to what quality is being cooked, whether it is being given properly or not, whether it is being given respectfully or not. Anyway, I'm doing so much. So they're when I'm doing so much, why, just take and, take it and go or whatever. And it is also done at an impure place, impure time, to unworthy persons, or the wrong thing is given in charity. So there was this person, he was visiting one of the holy dhams and he wanted to give charity. So he gave charity of beedis. There's so many, people who are sitting, beggars or whatever is sitting, everybody he gave one bundle of beedi. Beedi, I don't know whether you understand, is handmade cigarette, no, in India.
Indian version.
Indian version of cigarette. So he actually distributed beedis to everyone. Charity of beedi. So that is a charity in mode of ignorance.
So goodness out of duty, no expectation, proper time, place to a worthy person. Passion, they expect return for enjoyment, and sometimes it is done in grudging mood, not very happily, not very excited about doing charity.
Ignorance is impure place, impure time, improper time, unworthy person, and giving improper thing. There is another example where, they wanted to give food to people, they gave chicken biryani. Everybody is getting chicken biryani. So imagine person who is giving and person who is getting. What benefit they will get? Only suffering. Krishna and his devotees do not depend on our charity. Actually, charity to the Lord or his devotees is a privilege. We must see it as our privilege, that we have the privilege of giving. Krishna does not want, he is completely full. What can we give to Krishna? What do we have that we can give it to him? Now that doesn't mean that, okay, Krishna is everything, so why should I give? We give because, we must give. As a duty, we must give. We are in this material world, we are duty bound. We are using everything of Krishna. We are using this air, breathing every moment we are breathing. Are we paying any tax on that? Food that comes from the sunshine and from the rain and from the water and from the soil and from the oxygen, we getting food every day we eat. Are we paying any tax to Krishna? So every moment, this body is given to us, made up of Panch Mahabhut, right? So this is energy of the Lord. Are you giving any tax to Krishna? Again, Krishna is not asking for any tax.
And his
actually
are arranged by Krishna.
So actually that way we see there are different kinds of debts we are in. We are indebted to the Pitras, we are indebted to the Rishis, then society, parents. We are actually indebted to all of them. And above all, we are indebted to Krishna. And therefore, if we perform charity to Krishna or to his devotees, then we actually get free from all the debts to everyone. So the example is given of a tree. If we water the root, then the branch and the trunk and the leaf and the flower and the fruit, every twig gets watered. So if we perform charity to the Lord, then we also get free from all our rin or debts to all the different personalities whom are actually indebted to. So rather, it is a fortune if they accept charity from us, and that gives us purification and advancement in spiritual life. So here this beautiful picture is there of the fruit vendor, where Krishna hears the fruit vendor, because Krishna is very attracted to this lady. This lady is always, because the moment she heard the description of Krishna, thinking of that description, she never knew that she is chanting Krishna's name. She was chanting and searching in different villages. And finally, when she came to Krishna's village, Krishna was so enchanted and she said, where is this lady? Who's calling me? Who's calling me? And then he picked up a bunch of grain and he ran out, because that time the barter system was there. And on the way, most of the grain fell out of his hand. But this fruit vendor was so enchanted by the Lord, and she wanted to, hold him and put him on her lap and asked him to call him Maya. And Krishna did all that. And then this lady was so happy. She gave all the fruits, and not known to her, her basket was actually filled with jewels. And each jewel was more valuable than the treasury of Kans. So this is Krishna's reciprocation. But we see this selfless service of charity of this fruit vendor.
Krishna does not see what we give. He sees what we are holding back. So Krishna is not so much enamored if we give something little to him or something more to him. But how much do we have, and out of that, how much we are willing to give?
How much we are keeping for ourselves.
How much we are keeping for ourselves and how much we are giving to Krishna, that matters. So when we do any charity, we should have that consciousness that the best should be given to Krishna. Not that, okay, I have to give, so some namesake charity let me do. So with this, we have come to an end of today's session, and we will stop here. And in the next session, we will complete the balance chapter 17. Plus, we will go to chapter 18. So thank you all very much. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Shri Prabhupada.
Ki Jai.